What is going on, YouTube? PPS back here. It's Past the Prop. It is coming at you for our Monday show here. Joined as always with my guy, Monotone Football, Stu. Week 5 is in the books. We got one game left of it. How are we feeling? How was the week for you? What? Give me any takeaways that you had.
Well, it was a good week for me. It was up and down, right? I watched my team lose in the early slate. I made a lot back in the late slate. The night game was solid. It wasn't really what we expected, maybe with a shootout, but we have a shootout tonight, so that's some good news, right? Maybe the highest total on the slate, right? 51.5 out of any game so far. Hopefully, we can end this slate with a bang, right? I know a lot of people still have that Broncos-Colts game in their head when they think of primetime, so maybe this will be the game that kind of changes things up a little bit and gives us that shootout we've been hoping for.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for this one. Obviously, these guys play each other, I think, usually, once per season, at least the last couple seasons, and it's been a pretty lopsided event. But I think we're going to have a fun one here. I think that these superstars are going to have to show out because, damn, dude, this is a game with – this is the biggest one for showdown slates that you can find because you got Devontae, you got Kelsey, you got a Renfro coming back, you got Mahomes. CEH decides he's good now, or at least scoring touchdowns, So yeah, it should be an interesting one. Got Turbo in the chat, Brendan popping in here. Yeah, those live bets were nice. Yeah, I was happy with how our stuff went too. College football, NFL, everything was good this weekend. Everything went according to plan. So very happy to come back in here and be in more positive spirits coming in, when you come in, especially after my Packers shit the bed. We want to talk about that. That was absolute dog shit. Only thing I'm going to say is there's no way that was fully LaFleur calling those plays. They had to be checked out because there's no way you would pass the ball that much. Like Rodgers was getting a fucking big-ass head because that was awful. That entire second half, you go away from everything that worked. I don't know if Vegas made a call or something to Rodgers, say, hey, throw the ball around, but I know everybody was on Dillon. Everybody was on Jones, and he just didn't even give him a chance.
Yeah, no, I had the Saquon 60 and then Dillon 40 yards combo, and I was feeling good. 29 yards on 6 carries in the first half for Dillon. I was like, this is easy, man. They've got the lead. They're going to slow the game down. But exactly like you said, they did not play that normal Packers brand of football, and they got beat by a Giants team that is marvelously still 3-1, right? How is that going? Or what are they 4-1?
4-1.
Yeah, 4-1. Oh my God, this is not okay. We can't let this keep happening. Okay, they don't deserve that record. I don't know what's going on here, but the Giants are not that good. I mean, they're good. They improved. Good coaching, very good coaching. Obviously, love Daboll. Love everything that Bill's empire built. I wanted Daboll, obviously myself too, but yeah, I don't understand how this keeps happening, man.
Yeah, only thing I'm happy about is I have that Daniel Jones future ticket that I remember talking about on Past the Prop Futures.
Yeah.
I think that was 16 or 17 to 1, and that one is looking very, very nice right now. I really don't know who would be above him right now with how he's put this into a 4-1 team. I think this is the same amount of wins as they had last year, and he's pretty much doing it with no receivers. They have no receivers. Darius Slayton was their leading receiver yesterday. That dude is fucking cheeks, man. That guy sucks. And he made him look good. But, no, I'm happy I got to cash in on your QB. We cashed in with Carson Wentz this week. Crushed his completion prop. McLaurin crushed his longest reception prop. I mean, it sucks that you guys only got one win, and you guys are playing actually pretty decent football, offensively.
Yeah, it's not fun being a Washington fan right now. I mean, I don't know how you could watch that game and think that Washington deserved to lose that game, right? I mean, Ron Rivera is pulling up with some of the worst clock management I've ever seen this whole season, not just that last game, but I mean, not having a timeout for that final stand after randomly burning one earlier using a kind of challenge that pretty obviously wasn't going to go your way. It's really hard to watch, right? I mean, the thing about Washington, I think they can actually compete with a lot of teams, but I don't know if they're going to actually be able to pull out these wins in these late game situations, right? They're making it kind of to the finish line and they're choking at the end. But pretty much any team that predominantly runs, they can slow them down. Like Derrick Henry didn't have a great day. I mean, he had a couple nice runs, but that's Derrick Henry. When he touches the ball 25, 30 times the game and you keep them in check for the most part, you're doing a good job there. They just couldn't actually, execute and get the job done, unfortunately. So it's going to be tough for my Commanders this season. It's looking like we're going to, I don't know, we're on the road to the first pick, not on the road to the playoffs like I was hoping for.
Yeah, no, good fantasy options there, though. I'm hoping Brian Robinson comes back on Thursday. They got the best matchup in the world facing the Bears this week. So you should have a win there, hopefully. The Panthers continue to lose for me, which is good for my futures bet there. But I kind of want to talk about some of these, obviously, younger guys. Seen Olave go down with a concussion. Dameon Pierce is taking off. He looks so good. And look what happens with a healthy Delvin Cook, baby. He went berserk too. Two touchdowns, Fournette, 2 touchdowns. I think Fournette ran the ball 8 times and had 32 fantasy points on my team this week. That it's just unreal what he's doing over there.
Yeah, no, I mean the 10 catches last game. I mean it's funny, we talk about supplementing the running game with the short passing game. They take that very serious. I mean, Fournette is just a check down machine over there. I mean, what is this guy's receiving yards going to be in actual competitive games? Are we going to see him up in the 40s, in the high 30s? Because that's pretty, unknown territory for a running back, but he's quickly getting to that level right now.
Yeah, he's like McCaffrey, but he just doesn't run real routes. Like McCaffrey runs crisp, clean routes. This dude just falls out of the backfield and catches it.
Exactly.
Like, it's unreal. It's not even real. Like, it's no route tree. It's just, I'm going to be the safety blanket, and Brady just doesn't want to get hit. I know everybody's talking about that hit on Brady and how he got roughing the passer on that, dude. I just wish, just give him a concussion, bro. Jesus, if they're going to give him a freaking flag for that crap, that's so bad.
I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, I'm not a conspiracy theory guy. I don't think these games are rigged. I don't think they're actually calls being made, but that was atrocious right there. I mean, that's one of the worst calls I've seen in a long time. And that's one of those things where I think you do need accountability from the referees. I do think the NFL, whatever the referee association it calls, needs to put out a statement after the game saying, we fucked that up. We completely messed up. That's our fault. Obviously, nobody likes taking accountability in life. That's something we learn. Nobody wants to say I was wrong, but that's on national TV. That's one of the last games. Everyone saw that. Nobody thought that was roughing the passer. I understand Brady gets Brady treatment because he's one of the best players of all time, but man, that's an important play, right? The Falcons were not out of it. The Falcons were absolutely not out of it. They could have gotten the ball right back. So that was a pretty disgusting call right there. And I'm shocked there hasn't been any kind of, statement yet, kind of clarifying or even trying to defend whatever shitty call that they made, because that shocked even me, and I didn't even care about that game.
Yeah, no, and I just got a text. My dad just sent me a text that Matt Rule just got fired like 10 seconds ago. So on paper there that we're talking about the Panthers, that's obviously just very ironic that I got that text message right now that Rule's out as Carolina's coach. Yeah. I mean, what did he do to make you want him to stay? There's really nothing there. So
the problem, though, is Ben McAdoo's their offensive coordinator. That guy's just as dumb, right? They share their inmates in the loony bin. So I don't know what's going on. Like, is he going to be the one that's in control now? It'll be interesting to see who takes over, because I don't know if I'd want that job right now.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, you're riding with Baker. Hopefully Darnold gets back soon, and that's something I never thought I would say.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think that's it, unless you got something else before we pop onto our plays here and get it rolling.
Yeah, I do have one thing right here. I think it's time for me to make a public apology to both you and Geno Smith, because you've been on him more than anyone I've seen in the entire world, right? And I've been over here laughing, okay, whatever you say, man. He's come through for you multiple times. He looks really, really good out there. Like, it's not a joke anymore. Like, some of those throws he was making against the Saints defense on the run, like these mobile just dots down the field. I'm like, who is this guy? He was a backup for 7 years. He was just sitting there. I'm shocked. I don't know what's going on. I don't know how sustainable it is, but I just watched Joey Meneses, on the Nationals, my 33-year-old rookie, come in and sustain a 300 season. So after that, I believe anything can happen. And it's time for me to stop, dissing, and not just me, the rest of the world. We need to embrace the Geno Smith hype right now, because this is pretty cool what he's doing right now.
Dude, he's a top 10 fantasy quarterback right now. Like, this guy is legitimately a good player. And now we just saw Rashad Penny go down, so we might even see more. We might even see more pass-heavy offense from Seattle. And now you see Russell doing how shitty he's been doing. It's just like it all comes full circle to give that Geno Smith hype there. So with the comment that Jay drops there, Mahomes-esque, I will transition that perfectly over to you for your play here today. I like this one a lot.
Yeah, that's why I call it show business right there. Great transition, buddy. Okay, we're going right here. Patrick Mahomes, 230 passing yards. Devontae Adams, 60 receiving yards. Minus 120 over on DraftKings. This is obviously a high total game like we talked about earlier, 51 points. And in these kind of division rivalries, these are the kind of games where I like to trust the stars, right? Let the stars be stars. Let the best players on both teams come out and do exactly what they do. Mahomes has obviously hit 230 passing yards in every game so far. I mean, the one game where it was a little trickier, I guess, was that Colts game where it was super slow, the turnovers, the, interception-worthy plays, I guess. That wasn't his best game, still covered this one. If we know there's one weakness about this Raiders defense, it's the secondary, right? Nate Hobbs is a pretty good corner. He's been holding it down, but one guy can only get your secondary really so far. Their pass rush has been pretty solid this season, but also the Chiefs have a bit of a better offensive line than they have in the last couple of years. And I mean, even though they had the pass rush last year and they had the pass rush the year before that, and like you mentioned, the Chiefs have lopsided, records 7-1 in their last 8, I believe, against the Raiders. Or maybe that's just Mahomes' career against the Raiders. I don't know. Either way, Mahomes kills these guys, and it's really not a matchup I'm scared of whatsoever. On the other side, Devontae Adams had a bit of a weird season, right? He's been a target monster, 32% target share, still has him in the elite tier of wide receivers. He's had 2 games with elite production, over like 130 yards in both of them, but then he's also had 2 kind of dud games in between right there. So I think that might be scaring people a little bit more. But I mean, especially against Patrick Surtain last week, a Broncos team that is really tough. He showed, even though the production wasn't there at first necessarily, the targets just kept coming. He got, I believe 13 targets against Broncos last week, even after a slow start. It's kind of clear this team is going to continue to pepper him with targets. Look at guys like Darren Waller. What's Darren Waller doing right now? I mean, it's a little tempting to bet on the bounce back, but it's also been tempting every week. And he's put back-to-back 20-yard games up without Hunter Renfrow in the lineup. I don't really know how to explain that. I'm not sure what's going on there. Renfro's another interesting one, should be back from injury, playing in the slot. I think he'll be involved plenty, but I do think that means less attention on Devontae Adams in general. Like I said at the beginning, stars will be stars in this one. 2 very low numbers for 2 very good players. I think this one gets the job done.
Yeah, no, I don't know how we got this number, to be honest. When I looked at these with the talent of these guys, and I mean, I don't know how much like you watched Devontae when he played for the Packers, but this dude would just show out in big games. It's literally all he did. When we got on Monday nights and all these big days, dude just put up fat numbers and just destroyed everybody. So I love the spot. I think obviously Devontae should be pretty easy. I don't think that the Renfro news does anything for him. I actually think that might give him more room to move there. And I will take that and transition into mine here because we're kind of on the same-ish thought process. I'm going Carr completions here. Minus 110 is DK. I think it might be minus 105 on like the ones I don't have, which is like MGM in those. So 25.5. I get it. This is extremely high. This is a lot higher number than I expected to play. But I mean, he's only hit it in 1 of 3 games. Obviously, last game he only had 188 yards, but he had 21 completions in that game. I don't expect them to be winning in this game. In the games that they did lose, he has 25 and 26 completions in those games. I expect this game to be a shootout, or at least from the from their side of it, they're going to have to throw. Last game, he had 33 completions against the Chiefs, and I expect the same thing. I expect them to have to be throwing the entire second half. The reason that Derek Carr completions is killed is because we always have Josh Jacobs and being worried about him just running the ball and just running in the back of people, and that's what their offense was. We saw the Chiefs last week just absolutely get the Buccaneers out of running the football. They had, I think Fournette had negative yards. Rachaad White was their leading rusher was 6 yards. Just they completely had to abandon the run. And I actually kind of like this run defense for the Chiefs. That's usually been their Achilles heel, but you got Frank Clark in the middle. That dude clogs up the entire front. They have a 15% advantage here, defensive line over the offensive line of the Raiders, and that's usually their strong suit. Usually they're one of the highest guys up in run block advantage, and now they're minus 15. It's going to have to be on Derek Carr. You're not going to be able to just dink and dunk and just expect to run this ball down their throat when Mahomes is going right down the field scoring on you in about 3 minutes. So this has to become a shootout for you to want to win this game. You're going to have to outscore Mahomes. That's how you beat the Chiefs. There's really no other way. Obviously, the Chargers one was an interesting game, but you obviously have to outscore Patrick Mahomes. You can't just run the ball and just expect to kick field goals and win this game. It's got to be touchdowns, and it's got to be on Derek Carr. I'm not a huge Derek Carr fan, but when you have Renfro and you have all of these weapons that don't have crazy high ADOTs, I think that this is an easy dink and dunk down the field and then maybe give you an over the top to Devontae and get you a 40-yarder. And, I mean, you got Mac Hollins, dude. He's top 5 receiver in the league is what everybody's saying. So you got a lot of weapons on this side.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is kind of one of those bets too, right? When you look at all these weapons and you can't really decide which one you want to target, you know, you kind of get the whole package right here and hope the game kind of goes according to plan. I do think that the game plan is going to start out with a healthy dose of, Josh Jacobs, because he had obviously such a good game last week. But like you said, the Chiefs put people in positions where you just can't do that, right? If the Chiefs are up 7-0 to start out the game, maybe you run a couple times, you kick a field goal, and then they're at 14-3 on the next drive. It's like, okay, we kind of got to stop running up the middle, you know, for half of our plays right here. And yeah, that's kind of the situation the Chiefs put these teams in. So it's obviously a high number, like you said, but they do have the capabilities to do those short progressions down the field. Hunter Renfrow, like you mentioned, incredibly low ADOT. Josh Jacobs has been involved in the passing game. So is Brandon Bolden, right? I believe he's playing in this game. I know he missed a couple for injury, right? But that guy's been fairly high targeted for someone that I forgot was on this team at the beginning of the season. So they have plenty of guys that can just get those short yardage catches right over the middle and move the ball down the field. So I think if this game does get into that shootout, like we're hoping, if the pace is fast, then I think Carr should have plenty of opportunities to get this. The biggest problem, Derek Carr just kind of sucks sometimes. Like he really does. Like every once in a while, you go into those games, you're like, what are you doing? Like you have Devontae Adams over there, Hunter Renfrow there. They're all open. Why are you running around in the pocket? Like, thrown, I don't know. It's sometimes it can get a little bit dicey with Derek Carr, but if he comes out sharp, then I think this is a very, very hittable number.
71 yards on 21 carries, Jonathan Taylor. 14 carries for 39 yards, Austin Eckler. The leading rusher for the Cardinals was Murray with 28, and then obviously Rachaad White, 6. Like these guys make you pass. And if Derek Carr could obviously have 21 completions and 4 of them to the other team, and I wouldn't be surprised. That's kind of the way that this game could go and just get absolutely blow out. But, I mean, if this game stays, I would say even within 3 touchdowns, I think that Derek Carr gets this, like, fairly easily because I do not think that they're going to be able to run the ball, dude. I've been seeing people liking Jacobs and stuff on this, but it's so hard, dude. This Chiefs team literally makes you one-dimensional. That's what makes them good. And, hopefully Carr can decide he's going to be good Derek Carr today because I do not want to see how bad this game gets if he's bad.
Yeah, no, I agree, right? If we see a not sharp Derek Carr on the first drive, it's going to be like, we've got to sit through another one of these. Really, guys, the Chiefs just going to beat these guys down for the rest of the game. It happens sometimes, unfortunately. Also, if we are speaking of that kind of game flow we've been talking about, I am thinking, I haven't seen the odds yet, but I'm thinking about maybe sprinkling a couple sacks on Derek Carr too. Maybe Frank Clark. Maybe we hit a little bit of George Karlaftis is the one I was looking at, the rookie. The rookie's been playing.
He's playing very well, Purdue, right?
Yeah, coming out of Purdue. He fell a little bit in the draft. He was supposed to be a high pick, right? A lot of people had him around that 10, 11. I believe his draft position was like 12 or something like that. He went like 25, wherever the Chiefs were back there. But he's someone that I would definitely like to sprinkle at plus money for a sack, because if Derek Carr is sitting in those pockets a lot, he's forced to pass a lot. That's just going to be more sack opportunities in general.
Yeah, I love it. And let's transition into our picket, tail, or fade. This one, I think I'm going to be against the grain here. I'm going to be fading the public. I know this is like I know you brought it up. This is like one of the most popular plays ever. I love Dylan Carlson. This dude has been a fantasy monster, just kicking field goal after field goal. But I don't think you're going to be able to kick field goals and win this game. He would have to hit this in the first half for him to get it. And I feel like taking a kicker to kick 2 field goals in one half, you might as well just do that. If you can find a bet like that, a weird bet, the 2 field goals in one half or whatever. But if this is the second half, they're not going to be able to kick field goals. They're going to be losing by 10 or 14. Like you got to go and score touchdowns to beat the Chiefs. And I think McDaniels knows that. So I would assume this has to be in the first half. I'm going to be on the under here. I know it's tough because it's probably like minus like 150 at this point for how often he's been hitting it. But what's your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I initially was coming out to agree with you, but it actually kind of looks like we're on the same page here, that Carlson's been a monster at hitting this number, but in his career, he actually hasn't against the Chiefs, right? I believe he's under 50% hit rate against the Chiefs, despite being one of the best kickers in football for exactly the reasons you just mentioned right here. The thing is, the problem with this kind of logic is I use this kind of logic a decent amount on why I don't bet kickers, and coaches are just kind of, I don't want to say stupid, but they make old school decisions. We'll call them old school, where they just take the points and they kick the field goal and stuff like that. So in theory, our argument is correct, but I do have to say sometimes these coaches just go off script and, take a stupid field goal when you're down, 14 points to the Chiefs. You don't kick the field goal to bring that to 11. That doesn't really do anything for you, but they still like to do it. That being said, I'm going to fade the public also. I agree with you right here in general. He's a great kicker. Obviously, nothing against that. I'm sure a lot of people probably bet the over, but I just don't think you can beat the Chiefs kicking field goals. And I think everyone knows that by now. It's not even a secret anymore. Everybody knows that. That's the way the Chargers beat the Chiefs last season. Even though Staley got all that heat, they just would refuse to kick field goals. They would go for it every single time, because if you're not as good as Patrick Mahomes, you got to make stuff happen. You can't just settle for the points, especially when the Chiefs on the other side are also not going to settle for the points. They're going for it too. They got Patrick Mahomes. Why wouldn't they go for it? So I'm also going to be fading Carlson as well. I'm sorry, guys. I know he's popular.
Patrick Mahomes, but you also still don't have Harrison Butker. He's still not even there. Like, that dude's not even playing yet. This 4 or 5 straight games he's been out. So Tommy, Townsend or whatever they got kicking their field goals, bro, I ain't trusting that guy. They're not going to kick. I would like to take his under field goals too. Yeah. They gave me a 1.5 line, probably minus 250, but whatever. I mean, they're not going to kick here. They're going to just try to run this one up, I think, in my opinion. Because I think 2 games ago it was like 41 to like 9 or something like that. It was just an absolute ass kicking on these guys, and I'd be surprised if the Raiders can keep this close. I will be very excited to watch this one.
100%.
Kick this to you. I know you were talking about the sacks a little bit. Is this something you'd be thinking about? 4.5 total?
Yeah, I mean, total sacks is definitely good. I think that's solid. I would just say I'm going to look at the individual and see if the plus money maybe outweighs it. Like, just kind of like the interception props. I've hit a couple like 500, 600, kind of plus 600. If you can kind of get a good read on who actually gets interceptions, who actually gets the sacks, sometimes the plus money is worth it. But I think 4.5 actually does feel a little bit low.
Beautiful. And then we got this last one before we go to our touchdown spots. DK special, Kelsey, Adams, 200 yards combined and 2 touchdowns, 450. I mean, it gives you a little bit more room that you have both of them, but I don't know. I like Kelsey a lot today, but I just feel, dude, these boosts have just been terrible lately.
Yeah, my thing is, I think you're just giving up a lot of value right here. Neither of these guys are at 100 receiving yards, right? Like, their lines are well short of it. I mean, 75 and like 68 are their lines. Both of them are sitting around even money for the touchdown. It just feels like you're giving up a lot of value. And what they always want you to do with these boosts is they always want you to think, well, the other guy could hit it, and one guy, well, then you need Devontae Adams to have like 160 yards. You know what I mean? Like, stuff like that. It feels like these things sound kind of good in your head, but kind of like Terrence said, it feels like something that I would look at closer at 600, but you need a lot of good stuff to happen right there. So for me, I'm probably just going to have to pass on that one.
Yeah, just buy it up to 100. Go on FanDuel, buy them up to 100 each guy and get like I'm sure plus 200 on those if they're only laying their line at 68. I think that's the way to go on these.
Yeah,
for sure. Let's do our recap here quick, and then we'll get to our touchdown parlay. Sorry, guys, I got to pop out a little bit earlier than usual. But we'll do our quick recap here and we'll get to our touchdowns.
Yep, I'm going Patrick Mahomes over 230 passing yards and Devontae Adams 60 receiving yards, minus 125 on DraftKings. Let the stars be stars. Oh, and then, Pickett too. I'm going to be fading the public right here. Carlson under 1.5 field goals. I don't think you can beat the Chiefs like that.
Yep, I'm on the under as well, and I'll be on Derek Carr over 25.5 completions at minus 110. All right, guys, what you came here for? Let's do it back-to-back Monday nights. Let's do it. This feels like the right one here.
Yeah, well, I guess the problem is both of us kind of came in here wanting to bet Renfrow. That was kind of both of our picks. He's been like a sneaky red zone guy. So I brought up Kelsey as the obvious kind of safe one. The biggest thing is the Chiefs love using like 80 different tight ends in the red zone. But in a game with a 51.5 total, right, you're going to see so many opportunities in the red zone right here. The Chiefs team total's got to be like 28, right? Something close to that, maybe a little bit lower. But I'd imagine they're scoring about 4 touchdowns right here. I find it very hard to believe that Travis Kelce will not find his way into the end zone. But I'll kick it over to you to Renfrow because we both agree on this one.
Yeah, no, my biggest thing with this spot is that the Chiefs are very hard to run the ball in the red zone. Like I said, Jonathan Taylor, no touchdowns, right? He had 21 carries. He had red zone touches, could not get into the end zone. Same thing. You just seen Austin Eckler just go off these last 2 weeks, scoring touchdowns, right? They could not run the ball in. And on these short, quick routes, that's literally what Renfrow's good at. If it's inside the 5 to 10 yard line, I think that's exactly where they're going to have to go. I do not think they're going to be able to run this ball in on the Chiefs. And like I said, when we look at better running backs here, right? I mean, I would personally say that Austin Eckler and Jonathan Taylor are probably a little bit better, and Leonard Fournette are probably a little bit better, or a lot better than Josh Jacobs. I would put a lot of money on that to say that and put my face on that. So I just think that if we're going to put ball inside the 10-yard line, assume they get there a few times inside the red zone, and you're not able to run it in, Darren Waller has been a shell of himself. It's either going to Adams and Renfrow, and you're giving me like plus 240 on Renfrow. I think this line is way too big for me not to get it.
Definitely agree right here. And I see we got a good transition for me for a second in the chat. Someone says, what about Sky Moore? I'm glad you mentioned that one. I actually bet Sky Moore to score a touchdown at plus 700. It's still plus 600. I posted I wrote an article about it on Vegas Insider. I posted that over on Pikkit Sports. I'm sure most of you guys are over there already. You know what that is. If you're not, code PTP. And I also posted in my Discord. But yeah, I'll be posting that on Twitter pretty soon for my long shot in this one. Obviously I don't need to put it in the long shot parlay when it's plus 600 on its own. But I like Sky Moore. He's obviously coming up. He's started to pass Mecole Hardman in that next slot. He was targeted 4 times to Hardman's 1 last game. And he also got an end zone target as well. He didn't convert on it, obviously, but it's good to see that red zone usage. I think we're going to see more and more of Sky Moore over these last couple weeks. And even on one of my really, really bad fantasy teams, I'm starting him this week. So fire up Sky Moore. I think this could be maybe not a breakout game, but a lot of people finally start to see him, right? They finally see that, 3 catches for 66 yards and a touchdown kind of game where people go, oh, okay, I remember this guy. I remember the hype now. So I like Sky Moore tonight.
I just kind of thought about it. I'm like, I think the way we end on this is you brought up your fantasy team. I think I'm just going to end on a shout out to my fantasy team and like shout out my favorite player from the week. Because I got 3 leagues. I mean, I just got to give a huge shout out to my boy, Mr. Josh Allen, dude. Thank God. Thank you for throwing to Gabe Davis, bro. Thank you. So, dude, I have Gabe Davis and Josh Allen in 2 out of my 3 leagues. By the end of the first half, I was like 90% projected to win on these dudes because these boys just ran up 84 points on their own. So give a nice shout out there. You got anybody to shout out on that fantasy team of yours there?
Nope, no shout outs at all. My guys suck. Okay, so I don't like. Where's Travis Etienne at? What are you doing? I actually benched Etienne and Davis.
He did well. Did he do well?
They both did well, and I didn't play them this week, right? So that's unfortunate. Shout out to DJ Moore. He's just hanging out over there. It's not his fault. I feel bad for him, but not really helping my fantasy team. Keenan Allen, another shout out right there on the bench. Yeah, I got a lot of shout outs. They go the other way. A lot of negative shout outs. So I'll keep that to myself.
Yeah, and my last shout out is going to be to Leonard Fournette for like 2 weeks in a row, literally not being able to run the ball more than 3 yards down the field. But man, keep catching those passes. PPR, baby. I love to see that. Shout out to Hawkinson and Kirk for combined like 3.
Christian
Yeah,
Kirk.
after that huge week too, it's just tough. That's tough.
What? Okay, that I don't even know how to explain that Christian Kirk game. By the way, I mean, what was that? What happened? I don't understand what happened. I'm shocked. Like he had 5 yards.
Yeah.
I don't understand how that. I don't know. Maybe I guess don't play slot receivers against Houston. I don't know, but wow, that game was disgusting. That was a terrible game. I have like 3 Trevor Lawrence stacks this week in DFS. It's not smart. I had Pierce on the run back, but that wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to bring me back. So, come on. What are you doing, Trevor? We believed in you here. What are you doing? Yeah.
Breece Hall, baby. 2 weeks in a row running these big boys on this value, cashing that big ticket, ended up having his rushing, receiving as well. Steven, did he get into the end zone? I know he was running all over the place. So
he scored 22 points, so he did well for me. I don't remember how he got it, but I remember I was not watching that stupid game, but he did well. And shout out to Jamal Williams for getting to 15 carries and not 16. That's another shout out right there. Did not get the job done for me this week. Very disappointed in you.
I just wanted to look at last week's Wednesday show. Imagine you play all 4 of these dudes. You play all 4 of these dudes. You are in the cash. Guarantee you're rolling Breece Hall. You had like 30. You had Stevenson with 22. You can run Cook in there who had 29. And Jalen Hurts obviously running all over the place. So anything else you got to say here before we head on out here, Stu?
Yeah, I mean, make sure to follow us both on Twitter. I've been playing a lot of live bets, and they've been going very, very well. I don't know exactly. I've lost 2 that I can remember. I believe it's like 8-2, something like that so far in live bets. It's I know everyone can't just be on their phones all the time, but on these primetime games, there are more people at home just watching. So if you've got nothing better to do, turn those notifications on for a couple hours and sit back because they're very easy to realize. I don't know why more people aren't doing this, honestly. It's not that hard. I'm not a genius. I'm not like a gift from God. I'm just like reading the game script and knowing who's going to – it's not that hard. So you guys should check out the live bets. It's fun. Also, make sure to check out Pikkit Sports. They sponsor the show. Code PTP, free $3 to $100 when you sign up. Like I said, I posted my Sky Moore article there about 25 hours before the rest of the public gets to see it because, I like to support the people that support me. So that's all I got to say.
Love it, love it, love it. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you guys on Wednesday. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. Make sure you know when all the times are. If it's something switches up like this, we appreciate all you guys tuning in at this impromptu time. So have a good one, guys. Best of luck in your bets, and let's have a good primetime game. Let's get a good primetime Monday Night Football game. So have a good one, guys.